Hi, boys and girls. My name is Jenny Bender, and I am a St. Tammany Parish ESL teacher. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I bet you've seen a lot of when you've been playing outside. We're going to use a book to help us learn more about this topic. Can you guess what it is? It's flowers. Now, just from looking at the cover of this book, can you tell what the genre of this story is? What kind of book do you think it will be? That's right, it's going to be nonfiction. So it's going to teach us facts about flowers. Now, before we get into the story, I'd like to go over some words with you that you're going to see as we read. This is the first word. Do you know what that word says? Blossom. Very good. And a blossom is the showy bloom or flower of a plant. And in this story, it's used as a noun. Sometimes we can use it as a verb and say, the flower will blossom in the spring. But in this story, we're talking about the part of the plant that is the blossom. So you can see right here a cherry blossom and an apple blossom. That's the flowering part of the plant. So what is this word, boys and girls? Very good, blossom. The next word we're going to look at is, very good, pollen. And pollen is the fine, usually yellow dust produced by a plant. Do you know what that word produced means? That's right, it means it's made by the plant. It can be carried to other plants by the wind or insects to make seeds. You can see right here, this bee is carrying some pollen with him to another plant. And over here, this plant has lots of pollen coming off of it. You can see that fine yellow dust that it is making. Sometimes that's what makes us sneeze when we're outside playing. And the last word we're going to look at is, very good, this word is nectar. And nectar is the sweet liquid that is produced or made by plants and used by bees in making honey. So you can see that bee getting the nectar from the plant. And look at that nectar dripping from that plant down at the bottom. Right? So as we read, I want you to listen for those three words: blossom, nectar, and pollen. Green plants produce showy parts that we call flowers or blossoms. Flower blossoms can be any color of the rainbow. They can even be the color of chocolate in some kinds of flowers. The blossoms of grasses, bushes, and trees are flowers. But the word flower also refers to the many soft green flowering plants that are neither grasses, bushes, nor trees. These plants, called wildflowers and garden flowers, include roses, lilies, trilliums, tulips, orchids, and thousands of others. Flower parts. A flower plant has many parts. The flower blossom itself helps the plant to make new plants. A blossom is made up of many parts, each with a special job. Other parts of a flower plant also have special jobs. The roots anchor the plant, soak up water, and take up plant food from the ground. The flower stem supports the blossom and transports water and food. What do you think that word transports means? It means it moves the food and water through the plant. The stem makes leaves too. Leaves help make plant food. Every part has a different job to do. Insects and flowers. Insects such as butterflies and bees often visit flowers to drink nectar. Nectar is a sweet liquid made by the plant. While the insect sips nectar, its body picks up tiny grains of pollen. As the insect, perhaps a bee, moves from one part of the blossom to another, it leaves pollen in different parts of the blossom. Pollen grains are very important. They help make seeds from which new flower plants will sprout. And this is a bee with pollen grains. You can see the pollen all over his body. New flowers. Flower seeds grow inside a berry or some other type of fruit. The fruit and its seeds grow on the flower stem after the flower blossom dies. When the fruit is ripe, the seeds tumble out. If a seed finds a place to grow, a new flower plant is started. Some flower plants live only one season. Others, like lady slippers and irises, live for many years. Each spring, their roots send up new stems, leaves, and blossoms. This is a milkweed seed. This is a white water lily in a Florida pond, and these are gold poppies and owl clover in the Arizona desert. Flower homes. True wildflowers grow in almost every corner of the world. Most of them grow from soil. A few wildflowers in warm countries attach themselves to tree branches. Others, such as water lilies, grow in ponds and lakes. Flowers live in hot, steamy jungles. They even live on cold, windy mountains where trees cannot grow. They bloom in forests, grasslands, marshes, and deserts. They grow alongside roads and in the treeless far north. Which kinds or species of wildflowers grow in a place depend upon the weather, soil, wind, and water. I'll bet sometimes when you're riding in the car or riding your bicycle, you might see flowers growing just on the side of the road. Flower families. Flowers in a family or group are not the same, but they share many of the same features. One of the biggest groups of flowers is the orchid family. This family has more than 20,000 different species. Different orchids look like bees, scoops, sacks, or lady slippers. Almost all orchids, however, have remarkably small seeds and flowers with 6 petals. Orchid blossoms may be as tiny as 1/2 inch across or as large as saucers. Wildflowers through the seasons. Each species of wildflower usually blooms once each year. Some kinds bloom in spring. Others show their blossoms in summer or fall. In warm places such as Florida and Mexico, some wildflowers blossom during winter months. The forest is a wonderful place to find spring wildflowers, including bloodroot and trillium. By summer, the forest is too leafy and dark for most wildflowers. Wildflowers like sunlight, and most summer and autumn wildflowers grow in open places. Garden flowers. The first flower plants grew wild. Later, people began to take flowers from the wild and replant them around their homes. Scientists have worked with flower seeds to make changes in the way flowers grow. Today, there are hundreds of kinds of garden flowers. Some still look like their wild cousins, but many are bigger and brighter. Some of the gardener's favorite flowers are daffodils, tulips, roses, and irises. Flowers and people. Everyone loves flowers. Many flowers are sweet-smelling as well as beautiful. The parts of some flower plants are important for use as medicines, tea, and decorations. People raise garden flowers by planting them as seeds or small plants. Wildflowers grow freely without any help. Some wildflowers are hard to find. As wild places are destroyed, the flowers disappear. A few kinds of wildflowers are rare because people have taken the plants. Wildflowers should be enjoyed where they grow best, in the wild. All right, boys and girls, let's go over the words that we learned at the beginning. Do you remember this word? That's right, nectar. That's that sweet liquid that the plants produced and the bees use to make their honey. Pollen, very good. That's that dust that comes off the plant, but we learned that it is very important for starting new plants. And blossom. We saw lots of blossoms in this story, right? That's the flower part of the plant. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our story today, and I hope when you're outside that you'll look around for those flowers and those blossoms, and maybe even some bees that are enjoying the nectar from the flower. I'll see you next time, and thanks again for joining me. Bye.